Hello, everyone. A very, very good day to everyone. I'm Raga Olga De Silva, or Totally Out Now, as you know me. I'm the co founder and director of Speaking Minds, India's largest international speaker agency. Thank you, everyone, for joining in today. Wow. So, our guest today is someone we all have huge admiration for, loads and loads of respect and love, and at times, personally for me, I have to admit, a huge crush. She's one of the most talented actors we know, and what is most endearing about her is that she lives life on her own terms. I have been wanting to do this show with her for a long time because you know why? Because we are both totally out now. Let's welcome Vidya Balan.
Hi.
Hi, it's so good to see you.
Thank you. I'm very flattered that you said, I'm your crush.
I
It
have
doesn't
this.
happen too often anymore since I've gotten married.
Oh, what has marriage got to do with it? You
Tell me about it.
Vidya, all my friends who know me really well know that I've said that if ever I met you in real life, then I would retire. I've met you online now after many, many years, so I'm going to semi-retire.
No!
No, seriously, ask any of my
I'll
friends.
be blamed for that. So please no.
Okay, today we
I
want to
can't be
see.
that bad.
Oh, you're fantastic! I should retire so I can do more of this with you. Okay, so Vidya, what we want to hear today is lots of this laughter. Because I think that's the other thing that people love about you is your laughter, isn't it? That's what I've been told.
Really, thank you. Because sometimes I wonder, I laugh so much that I wonder if people get fed up of it. Because I also laugh very loudly. Growing up, Raga, there were people who told me I laughed like a hyena. And I used to be conscious for a while. Actually, someone I liked, someone I had a crush on, told me I laughed like a hyena. And obviously, it didn't go down too well with me because I wanted him to like me and not think of me as a hyena. But I'm glad he did actually in retrospect.
Oh my God, I love to laugh and I love to hear people laugh because, that's so soulful, isn't it? That you're just so free. And I don't know, I feel that that's how you live, Vidya. To us from the outside, that's what I admire about you, that no matter what somebody does or says about you or to you, you live life and you come across as a happy person.
Thank you. Yeah, I think Raga, over the years, especially being in the public glare, so to speak, I've realized that you know um, happiness is how you define it, and it's really up to you because you can have everything in the world and you can be very unhappy, and you can have nothing and yet you can be very happy. So I've realized that because I've traveled so much and obviously inhabited so many different worlds playing my characters, and I've realized that it's different to each person you know
True.
and I think I come from a family where we really treasure the small things, so I can't really take all the credit for it. But I think my parents, my sister, they're the kind of people who make the most of the moment.
How amazing.
Surrender to the moment, whether you're happy, whether you're sad, whether you're angry. It's a no holds barred space. I don't know if that's good, but I think uh, that's why I feel like I'm constantly looking for reasons to smile and be happy, and sometimes I laugh at the most ridiculous times, but now that's me.
But isn't that amazing? That's the miracle of life, right? Some of us look at life like this and we manage that to keep that magic. Some of us will have the most happiest of things around us and we're not able to find that magic. So I please stay like this for all of us. And that
Thank
brings
you.
me to my very important question. Something that is very close to my heart is about the LGBT community.
Right,
I'm been friends with Priya for a long, long time, and I'm
right.
on Facebook, so I'm a bit voyeuristic, and I
For
kind of
those
look
who
at.
don't know, Priya is my sister.
Yeah,
My
sorry, yeah,
sister is my hero.
Priya. Oh, and what an amazing Priya she is. So Priya also has twins like I have, and a son and a daughter. My
Yeah,
children are now 22, and Priya's are still growing up.
yeah.
And what was interesting, Vidya, was when I saw one of her Facebook posts last year when you were on family vacation. And I think your nephew, and I don't want to take their names here, the penguins, let's call them the penguins, as Priya does.
Penguins.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And your nephew asked you about what it is about being gay. What is gay?
yeah,
I would
yeah.
love to know what your response to him was.
No, actually, it was Priya and her daughter, her son, and me who were just walking. I don't remember where we were headed to. Kedar, Priya's husband, was also around, and we were talking about going for the Pride Parade. So, and there was so much. New York prepares for the Pride Parade, right? It's a big event. So, and then we were talking about Stonewall, the incident that happened, I think 50 years ago. It was 50 years to Stonewall, and we were just talking about that. And the kids, obviously, we got their attention, I guess, as what it was. And I remember, um, I think a lot of these things I don't answer directly because um, I feel that um, they their parents are the best to deal with a lot of questions that they might have about life. So I just paused for a moment, and Priya just very casually turned and said, the Pride Parade is where people celebrate everyone's right to love whoever they want to. And, I thought that was amazing. So they said, what do you mean? So she said, it can be, she didn't make it so much because it might be a bit complicated for kids to understand at this point because they're so little, they don't even know about sex, sexuality, they've
Correct.
not been introduced to that yet. So she said, anyone can love anyone. Boy loves a boy, girl loves a girl, boy loves a girl, girl loves a boy, or anything. And they were like, oh, okay. And they just walked ahead. And then we all went for the Pride Parade the next day, and the kids obviously didn't come with us, but also because it was so crowded. But they, for them, pride means all colors, and all colors means happiness
Happy.
for any child. They saw balloons, they saw ribbons, they saw um, flags, and they think pride is all colors, which is so beautiful, because at some level, when they begin to understand things, they'll, I think, just celebrate love in all its forms, just accept people the way they are. So I thought it was, that's why I say Priya is my hero. She dealt with it like so coolly.
How amazing. How amazing. And this is how we have to bring up our children, right? And
Yeah,
that is, yeah, and that is, I get asked this question quite a bit, saying that, your children are 22, you brought them up with another woman. How do they feel about you? Do they rebel? Children don't rebel. Children love love. They just
yeah,
accept it. Yeah. Unless, of course, you tell them
absolutely.
it's not right. Yeah.
No, but I know a little about your journey, and I have to say, I don't think it could have been easy, but God bless you and more power to you. And it's so wonderful that you found love.
Thank you.
Um, yeah, I think
Thank you.
that's
And we
that's
celebrate that. And when you gave a forward for my book, Untold Lies, it was one of the best things that ever happened for me, really. Because, someone who understands love, when you understand love, you understand the celebration of that love, and that's so important. And that is why, to me, when I watched Shakuntala Devi last night,
yeah,
I was a bit baffled because there's a
yeah,
scene in that movie when the daughter, there's a press conference, right? And
yeah,
uh, and she says, they talk about the book, about Shakuntala Devi's book, The World of Homosexuals, and she comes out and she basically outs her
yeah,
ex-husband, which
yeah,
in the LGBT community you don't normally do, right? You don't
yeah,
out people without permission. And the daughter has a reaction,
yeah.
and I wonder, did the filmmakers somehow miss the opportunity to change the
No,
narrative?
actually, the truth is that he was heterosexual.
Oh,
And I don't know if that didn't come through clearly, but he was heterosexual, and she was just, I think, she there was also a child in her. She wanted love more than anything else. I think she probably, my understanding of, I think at the end of the day, all of us want love, you know
correct.
and she was probably angry with her husband, um, for the way things had gone down. And she just decided to, it was something, I think it was, uh, I don't know whether she just said it and it got picked up. She was one of those people who would say whatever came to her mind. So there was no truth to it though. So we did not tiptoe around the fact
I see. How
that
interesting.
he was heterosexual.
Wow, how interesting. For all these years when we read about the book and about, I used to
Yeah.
think, oh, I used to admire it, thinking how amazing that,
Yeah, but I think it's all the more amazing, therefore, that she had no reason to write a book on homosexuality, and she still did.
that's
You
true.
know,
That's true.
yeah, it did not have to come from a personal space. But I guess she just that is
What a,
Shakuntala Devi.
what a fascinating personality, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
She
yeah.
was so
So
forward.
unpredictable, so almost childlike, petulant in some ways. She was easily angered. She was easily. I think, like I said, it was all for love.
Yeah, amazing. I was just when I watched that particular scene, and when the daughter comes out and she's like really angry with with her mother, and it almost felt like I wonder how would Vidya feel if it happened to her in real life. Really, I thought about it. How would your reaction be?
I don't think I'd take it very well if I knew that my partner was in love with someone else. I don't think it's about man or woman. It's just, that I think is that rejection is very hard to stomach. And
Sure,
then I think, yeah, and then if it were true, I think you'd feel like your relationship was a lie. You know,
true.
if it was a part of his identity that you weren't familiar with, and it just popped up one day, I think it would be very shocking. So I'm not even going to lie and say, I would be very accepting of it. Just the fact that that would mean a rejection of me, I think would make it very difficult to accept.
How interesting. So it would be the rejection of you because of the love, right? It's got nothing
Yeah.
to do with sexuality. It didn't
No,
matter.
no,
Yeah.
no, no, no. Of course,
Interesting.
you'd feel like, what was he doing with me? If he could be bisexual, but for a while, I'm sure, because I have thought about this while preparing for the film, that you actually not preparing for the film, because when I was preparing for the film, I was already aware that there was no truth to it. But I have wondered, ki, what if this happened to me, or cancel, 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 because
Yeah. Yeah.
not this particular situation, but just your
True.
partner finding someone else. I don't even want to think of that. But
Mm.
I'm saying just the fact that I think it would be very tough. It would be like, and if you didn't know that he was bisexual or he was homosexual, maybe that's something he hadn't accepted about himself forever. That would also mean, even though maybe he didn't intend to, it would feel like the biggest cheat, right? Because our sexuality is such a big part of our lives and we just cover it up. So I think it would feel like, like unforgivable. More than the fact that he's with a person of the same sex, I don't think that would bother as much as it would bother me that one, he chose someone else over me. And secondly, that, oh, maybe he knew this and our relationship was a sham. I think these questions everyone goes through when you go through a breakup anyway.
So it's a betrayal, right? The sense of betrayal.
Yeah,
That
yeah, yeah.
that is what it is, right?
That you've
Yeah,
been lied to.
yeah, yeah. So, and that's a fear I think all of us have, right, about our
Yeah.
partners. But if, and I'm not saying this is ever going to be possible, but I'm just making a speculative comment. What if, as a daughter, you were to hear the same thing as a daughter? Right? That
As a
you're,
daughter,
yeah, if you were in, her place last night, in the daughter's place in Shakuntala Devi, and you hear someone say like, your father is homosexual, how would you react? What your reaction would be?
I don't think the reaction could be, I don't think anyone would be cool with it. Because one, if there is no truth to it, then you'd be livid. And rightfully she was.
Sure,
And
sure.
secondly, even if there's truth to it, then you do end up, I think, questioning a whole lot of things. Because um, every child wants to believe that their parents are fully in love, that they are literally a labor or a product of that love, and then to feel like, oh, maybe this was nothing more than I don't know. It's like uh, when you know that maybe you're the product of a one night stand. I think it would be very difficult to accept. It's the same thing. You begin to wonder. Oh, that means do my parents not love each other? That I think is heartbreaking as a
Mm.
child.
True, true. No, I understand. I think my children have been through it, so I can actually relate to that. And
Right.
I understand. How do you manage it, and how maturely, what a mature manner that people in that universe
Yeah,
manage
but
it.
but Raga, I have to say that for someone who's gone through it, you know what it is. I'm still being very speculative,
Yeah.
and from my little understanding of human beings, human behavior, I think this is what. But one never knows how you'll react.
Until
That
you're
until
in a
you're
situation.
confronted with that
Yes,
situation, I think
true,
it's
true.
impossible to say.
True. In that movie is like to me like an encyclopedia of women empowerment. Really, it's like every part of it, right? For instance, I mean, there's so many instances in that film, and I didn't mean to talk about Shakuntala Devi as a film in itself, but the aspects of it, because I think all women relate to it. For a
Yeah,
marriage, so like interestingly, the husband and wife both love the child, but both are ambitious. Or one is she's super ambitious. So how does that work? So in real life, in today's modern times both man and woman want to work, both have aspirations, both have ambitions, right? So, how does one make a marriage work when both are equally ambitious and they
I
have a
think
child?
that. Yeah, I think that's a bit tough. I would imagine. Um, I don't think there are any straight answers to that, because a child requires a lot of love and more importantly attention. And if you're giving your career or your job or your profession as much importance, then it can be a big strain. And if both of them are doing that, of course, if there is the village to raise the child, which is the extended family and all, it's great. But kids need their parents. Um, I don't think, which is why I think today, with so much awareness around parenting, Raga, I think parents are, you hear of helicopter moms, you hear of parents who are constantly, involved in their children's lives. That when I look at parents today, I feel like, oh my God, my parents at 5 o'clock, once I hardly ever stepped out. I was happy to be home. But for example, whenever Priya stepped out to play for 2 hours, my parents didn't even know where she was. She'd be playing hide and seek and catch and cook and whatever. My parents didn't know, but they knew she was safe. Today, I think, and also my mom would, of course, take up my homework, because she was a stay-at-home mom, and my father worked, so he used to come back home very very late. But I think the involvement was, I don't know, I feel like they were almost simpler times. I think this time is actually very tough on parents. I think because they're trying to do it all. And a lot of that pressure finally lands on the woman.
Yeah, true. The
You
guilt, right? The guilt.
The guilt
You
of a
know,
working mother.
oh,
Which is
yeah,
why I think Shakuntala Devi was such an inspiration. We're talking about a woman 50 years ago who lived her
amazing.
life exactly the way she wanted to. And she was like,
Exactly.
why should I settle for less? I'm brilliant. I'm a
Yeah.
genius. Why should I not celebrate that? But it's so difficult, no? Then um, she would take her kid along everywhere. She couldn't really enroll her. But I think everything comes at a price, I feel. Um, but what I love about her is that there was no guilt in her. I
That's,
don't know if it's possible though. I
yeah.
see my sister, and if she has a really crazy week at work, then on the weekend she's anyway involved in her children's lives, intensely. But then on the weekend she'll do that much more to compensate. You know,
Yeah. Sure.
I feel like, and have so many friends who are doing that, cousins who are doing that. And I'm like, my God, being a parent is so tough, and my respect for my parents has gone up since, my sister has had kids, because I see what it entails.
It's exhausting as a parent,
Yeah,
really.
yeah, yeah.
Some of
And
my friends,
yeah, sorry, you were
no,
saying?
sorry, please, please.
No, no, please.
No, I'm saying some of my friends come back and say to me that, today my husband was babysitting the children. And I think, how can anybody babysit their own children?
Own children.
You look, it's yours. So the
Yeah,
pressure's on the
but
woman.
I think we are so used to being in charge of the house and taking care of our children that when men do their bit, we almost feel grateful.
Yes.
I
Yes.
heard this wonderful story where this woman's husband, she wanted him to participate in the house equally, take charge of the kitchen and cook up a meal one day. And he actually, I think, just helped her around the kitchen. And she turned to him and she said, "Thank you." Because, it was not something she was used to, she was familiar with. And we feel grateful when the men, we feel like they're chipping in, like they're supportive, they're helpful. But actually, shouldn't it be um, equally the responsibility of both?
It should
I
just
know
be.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think sometimes one does more, sometimes the other does less.
Correct.
Or sometimes the other does more. That's, I think, between any two people, that's always the case. Sometimes you need to understand and compromise or adjust, and sometimes you're the one, being needy, and that's absolutely fine. That's how, like you said, in a relationship, just be.
Yeah, and it's just social conditioning, right? I love that scene with the older sister tells the girl, tells Shakuntala, she says that, I want you, one day you're going to be as big as a man. And
Yeah,
this
yeah.
was innocent Shakuntala turns around and she says, why should I be a man? I just want to
Man.
be a big woman someday.
Yeah.
I love
But
that
have you
scene.
ever heard of Badi Aurat Banegi? No, you
नहीं, कभी
haven't.
नहीं. बिल्कुल,
But we're
that was
changing
one.
that. We're all changing that, and
Exactly.
I think we have to acknowledge all that the women before us have done.
Exactly.
Um, yeah, because we wouldn't be here if not for them.
Exactly. But that is it, right? When people tell me I go to the gym and if I come back and I post something, people say, you as strong as a man, man. And I say, what? I am as strong as me. Whether
But I
woman,
think because we've been brought up to associate physical strength with machismo, with power is a very masculine trait. So I think all of that is, though, I think there's a recalibration happening at the moment. You can't even, I keep feeling, I think about this a lot, and I feel like we can't blame the men for not doing their bit. Also, they've not known any better.
I
The
agree.
the new age man is trying very hard, but obviously their conditioning also interferes with what they think is the right thing to do,
Correct.
because it's all so conflicting, right?
True. And as parents, as people who bring up children, whether it's your nephew or niece or people around us, I think we have a huge responsibility in changing the narrative. And I keep saying changing the narrative one story at a time.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know zyada nahi karna, chota chota. Because
Uh-huh.
like I have like twins, like I said, son and a daughter. I'm a perfect example. My relatives, when they used to come home, say nahi nahi nahi, ash se kaam nahi karao, sirf Anna se kaam karao. Kyun? Like
Uh,
difference between we have never differentiated. Both do the dishes, both do the housework, both do the bathroom, both are equally responsible. So we hold that responsibility within ourselves as well. And I think
yeah,
that's
and
important.
charity begins at home. we
Absolutely.
don't need we don't need mass movements, but if each of us tries to bring about that change at home, I think the world is going to be a different place.
Yeah, but there are people like you, Vidya. There are people like us. There are many people like us, right, around. But there are 100 times more people not like us. And I
Yeah.
keep thinking, and we have the luxury of being who we are because for some reason we've empowered ourselves. Let's say and now the society is allowing us to be right. But how do we change the narrative of people who are not able to be? Do you think it's something that can change through
I
films,
think
for instance, stories? How?
no, films can, I think, affect only peripheral change, honestly. Because films are actually a reflection of the reality around us. I'm not sure that films entertain, and along the way, if they make you think, I think that itself, or make you aware about something, I think that itself is a great outcome. But I won't place the responsibility of bringing about change on films solely. I think that has to start at home, in every household. And I do think, like you were saying, how do we change the narrative? The narrative is changing, but the narrative is changing at a different pace in different places. because our realities, we're all living parallel realities. I think that for a girl, for a family who's not sent their girl to school, when they send their first girl to school, that is
Yes.
change. For someone who's not studied beyond, for someone who's been married off, for a family who's married off their girl at the age of 14 and 15, when they don't do that until she finishes her education, that is also change. That is definitive change. But for you and me, those situations will be different because
Sure.
we've had access to a certain background that we come from, where already we were privileged enough to be aware of our rights as women, as girls and women. We were probably not brought up with um, as much of a gender discrimination as they have encountered. And there's education, there's exposure, there's, so I think it's happening everywhere. But if we expect it to be an absolute, I think we will only be disappointed.
Sure. So one story at a time, right?
Yeah, one story at a time.
And
Absolutely,
and your
bang on.
and your the characters that you play
Yeah.
basically, and I'm not putting pressure on you, but the characters that you play, I have kind of we've been all following you for years. They actually are changing the narrative as well. I mean, Kahani was to me was a great example of that as well, and all your films that you've acted in, somehow you
Thank you.
managed to portray roles that relate to people like us. I can't
Right.
see you in a role where you are submissive and and I would say, what is wrong with you, Vidya? Why are you doing this to us? you know, you know. Vidya, we talk about mother-daughter relationship quite a bit in our society. I'd love
Yeah.
to know about father-daughter relationship because your father has played a huge, huge, obviously, influence in your
Yeah, I
life.
think, actually, my parents have played equally important roles in my life, and actually, so has my sister. So I keep saying I have two mothers. um, I I feel my father. I'm very similar to my father in a lot of ways, which is why we clash a lot. Also, I, a lot of differences of opinion, and he's stubborn, and so am I. So over the years, I think I've fought a lot with him, uh, but I've also fought a lot with my mother. I think that's because, um, on the one hand, I feel that wherever I travel in the world, she's the first person I call. First thing in the morning, she's the first call I make. Um, and that's just the way it is. But at the same time, I think because of her, it used to exasperate me as a teenager, when she would sound so worried about for my safety. Today, I understand that when I see my niece and my nephew and I want to protect them in every possible way, I know where they're coming from. But I think those are issues that every teenager goes through, and they feel that they know better than their parents and they are cooler than their parents and all of that. But I think, um, I think what my father is someone, um, he's more expressive, and my mother is a quieter one, but both of them have given me a great deal of strength, um, faith in myself. My father has been through a very tough life himself. He grew up in Kerala. He came to Bombay at the age of 16, but after the death of my father's father, which is my grandfather, the family was reduced to penury because of some cheating within the extended family, and they went through very tough times. But he and his siblings are people with a great deal of faith in themselves, in their hard work, and I feel they have a very positive attitude to life, that they feel that finally things will work out, that despite all this they look see the good in people. I think that's so beautiful. So I get that from my father. And again, my mother, I think they're probably two sides of the same coin, because actually now that you're asking me, but except she's a quieter version, but she's someone with a zest for life. She's, constantly wanting to learn new things. I find that so inspiring. Today she's a grandmother and she enjoys that role, but she lives for herself. She's she she's very particular about her daily routine. She's very particular about taking care of herself, about learning new things, about keeping up with technology. I'm not, you know, um, I'm not kept up with technology the way she has. I remember early on in the lockdown, we were talking about a Zoom call, and they said there'll be like 40, 50 people on the Zoom call. She said, yeah, Zoom calls can take up to 100, So she's, I love that. I think, and she's always pushed Priya and me to do well in our careers, to be financially independent, to stand on our own two feet, to have a voice. She was never the meek wife.
How
She was,
wonderful.
even though she's very quiet, she was never meek. She's not someone who's timid. She probably knows when to keep quiet and when to keep the peace, but she will at the right time. Like, I think that's beautiful when you know the right time to say what you want to say. Because when you could inflame the situation, there's no point when someone is unwilling to hear you. But so I think I'm equally. I owe everything to both my parents and my sister.
But that's where I think your strength comes from, right? Because when you
Yeah,
have such solid parenting, right, parents
yeah.
behind you, you're sorted for life, Vidya, in that manner, right?
No, no,
You know,
absolutely. I feel very, very blessed because, especially being a public figure, and coming from a family where there was no, like, forget films, no one was in theater, no one was, no one had made a profession out of um, singing or dancing, because a lot of South Indians are so into music and dance. But our family was very, in that sense, more straight-jacketed in terms of academics. And so for parents like them to have, really supported me. And even Priya joined advertising. I remember initially when she joined advertising, people said, "Oh my God, you know, advertising is all about sex, drugs, and rock and roll." And but they just didn't stop her. They knew that she would be able to take care of herself. I
it's
think that faith in your own upbringing.
yeah, that's interesting because when I joined advertising, that's what my mother said. It's too glamorous for middle class families. You
Yeah.
know, she
No,
said,
no, I think that concern they had, but they knew that she could take care of herself. They were more scared, I think, when I joined television, because it was a big bad world of basically media. I think films and media and all of that. They were worried. So initially, my mother would accompany me everywhere, and then she realized that, oh, it's not a bad place. There are good people, and there are more good people than you think. So it's really up to you. Um, I think it's what you make of the world around
sure.
you.
And they had given you the skills and the tools, obviously, to look after yourself,
Yeah,
right? Which is
yeah,
the most
yeah,
important thing as a
yeah,
parent. Yeah. Then,
absolutely.
but that brings me to that question. For our audience who's listening in, who's watching, I think there are many of us who make decisions which are probably not in favor of the parents, right? The parents may
That's
expect you to do something, and you give them a surprise. So how do you manage to tackle that? I mean, in your own case, you said you didn't come from a film background. So how did you, although you may have had support, you didn't know that, right? Until you got into or were interested in the industry. So how
you
did you
know.
tackle that?
I think really hats off to my parents, because even though they were scared and worried, and I think they may have been secretly praying that this is a passing fancy that I give up when things didn't work out. Yet they supported me in every way. So I didn't feel scared, Raga, to come home, even when something hadn't worked out, whether it was an audition or, and also importantly, my livelihood didn't depend on this. I wasn't the one putting food on the table. That makes all the difference. That
True.
gives you the bargaining power. That gives you the ability to negotiate your space in anything when it's not coming from the need for survival. But I think as so I had lots of clashes, like I said, with my mother, particularly because she was like, look at all your friends, they're doing management, they're going abroad and studying, and you're just sitting at home, and what are you? I wasn't even doing an acting course or anything like that. So it used to, and she used to say, at least focus on, bettering yourself. And I didn't know what to do, and it was a time when I was facing a lot of rejection down south. So I just felt, you know, it did make me angry. Like I said, there were lots of clashes between us, but they gave me the security that whatever the case, whatever I chose to do, I still could return home, and that was my safe haven. So I really think that I had it easier. I wonder how people who, like you said, don't have the support of their families, how they go about achieving their dreams. I can't even imagine what it must be like. But I do believe very strongly that when you believe in your dreams, doors open. And
Amazing.
whether that's within your family or outside in the world, it is the truth of life. you know um,
Beautiful.
they won't stay. But when people like my mother, I remember, initially um, she was so worried, and she would dissuade me and say, but I did my first television serial and it never aired because the channel it was being made for just it didn't see the light of day. So um, after that, I remember she telling me that, now it's okay. Now you tried your hand at it. Maybe this is not for you. But when they saw me go through a whole lot of rejection down south, I think she started praying for me, because finally parents want, their children to be happy. I know that's not true of all parents, but I think of most parents. But whatever it is, they will come around. That's my belief, and
How
I wish
beautiful.
that for everyone.
I'm so beautiful, but Vidya, I mean, I loved absolutely whatever you said. But people who don't have that kind of support from parents, I think it comes from a place of fear.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But love is there, support
yeah,
is there, but it comes from fear, rejection. Because I mean, keep coming back to my life with the LGBT, world, because I see so many of these cases. My own mother rejected me for a while, only because there was fear. What will
yeah,
people say? What will society say? What will you do? How will your children be brought up? Those fears. They don't mean to reject you. They don't mean to not support you either.
yeah,
It's just that. So I'm sure all the parents watching our show, when taking inspiration from you. What a beautiful story. Vidya, what happened then? What happens when things don't go your way? You've had lots of ups and downs yourself, right? When things don't go your way, or when people say things to you which are not right, you get trolled. I mean, the word today is trolled, right? I know that 99% of your fans just love you, but there are people who say things which are
of
very
course.
sensitive. So how do you manage that?
I don't read anything.
Oh, fantastic.
So, I keep saying that I'm only aware of the good, because that's how I like it. If you're sending me love, you're welcome. And if not, then I can't see you, I can't hear you. So I don't read anything, even when I post on social media, and with no disrespect to anyone, I post it because I want to share it. And a lot of times, it's not a lot of times, I think 99% of the times my posts are work related. And, you know, I just do it, but I don't read any comments on across social media. I don't read entertainment news, I don't watch it. That's how I've retained my sanity over the years. I think I realized that it was um, affecting me too much in 2007-8, when they were speaking relentlessly about my body and my dressing, and I began to lose my confidence. So this was part of my regaining my confidence, and today I feel it's the best thing to have done. I also switched off the ringer on my phone in 2008. It's not been on since, you know. because I just feel like the mobile is an intrusion.
Yeah.
So when I want to connect, I will, and when I don't, I don't want that phone to be ringing all the time, and I don't want to be accessible all the time. I want to enjoy my, like today was one of those days when, I'm a little exhausted from the promotions, because I actually thought this would be very easy, but I guess sitting in one place and talking 19 to the dozen 10 hours a day isn't easy. So I think I'm just recovering from it, and today was one of those days when I chose to do nothing.
Sure.
I've just,
I heard
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So um, I was like, I like it that way. I think we have to each define, um, we have to live our lives the way we want to, not only in terms of the bigger dreams and all that, on a day to day basis, because the pressures are very immense for all of us. Like I keep telling my team that, we're not in the profession of saving lives. I'm not a doctor. You're not a doctor. And therefore, that Sunday is, precious and priceless. And I'm not going to take any calls, doesn't matter what happens. Sometimes you do, but at least 90% of the times when, work is fairly easy and things like that, I don't even respond to messages on a Sunday. I think, where is that sort of etiquette? These days people are constantly in each other's faces, and I like to take a break.
I think it is very powerful, when you learn to say no because it
Yeah.
serves you, not because, we constantly in this world think of about other people, right? And what will they think? What will they say? It's actually very detrimental to our own mental, physical, spiritual space, right? So what's your
and that and that much more for women, you
correct,
know
correct.
because besides, especially when you do something for yourself, we are trying to overcompensate. We just spoke about that, especially true of working mothers. But even otherwise, you're trying to be so many things. It's almost like you cut yourself up into pieces, and it's just, I think you have to learn. And I've realized, when you value yourself, your time, your space, people value it. And if you don't, then they're not going to.
And it doesn't matter, right? Those people don't matter then in that case.
Not at
Yeah,
all.
I agree with you totally. On that, we've got a few minutes. I will take a few audience questions. But
Sure,
before I
sure.
take the audience questions, there's something that I want you to say. Betty butter, but bit of butter.
Betty bought a bit of butter, but the butter Betty bought was a bit bitter and made her batter bitter.
Oh, I had learned it a little differently. So
Really?
yeah. So Betty bought a bit of butter, but the butter was so bitter, so she bought some better butter to make the bitter butter better.
Oh, really? Okay, I know it like this. So I guess a little
Okay.
bit. Yours
So
is
again,
even
we'll
more
listen to it again.
complicated.
Huh. So
Yeah.
we'll listen to it one more time from you.
Betty bought a bit of butter, but the butter Betty bought was a bit bitter and made her batter bitter.
That was brilliant. Okay, I'm going to take a few questions here from the audience, and oh wow, we've got a huge amount of engagement. So for audience, thank you very much for joining in. Wonderful comments. I'm not going to read out all the nice comments. We've got beautiful comments, and we
But
were
you
not.
can send it to me later.
Yeah, I will. I will. So many hearts and so many people saying, "Two powerful
Hearts.
women." Love the
Yeah.
hair. There's so many love my hair.
I
I
do
shaved my.
actually, and I like your rings, nose
Oh, you
rings.
do. Thank you very much. Oh,
Oh, and thank
yeah.
you for doing this. Now your rings too.
Thank you. So we've got Sonam Kalra. You've heard of Sonam Kalra. She's one of our speakers. She's a Sufi gospel singer. Sonam Kalra, amazing. She's here. She's listening to us. We've got Sarthak, Bhakti, Nikki. Sorry, I'm just going to do so many, so many, so many. Tulsi is another amazing story. Tulsi lives in London. She's an plane crash victim, and she got burnt Mumbai to Bangalore. Parents were traveling when she was a young kid, and there was a flight that got crashed. Plane crashed, and but amazing storyteller, and what a powerful woman, really. Ashwini, yeah,
More
she
power
says.
to you, Tulsi.
So yeah. Ashwini from London says, please say my hello to her. She says, "Tumhari salut."
Hi. Hi to everyone, as a matter of
Yeah,
fact,
yeah. Hi everyone.
who's
We will
joining us.
Shonali, everybody. I'm going to send all these messages to Vidya. I promise you. I'm just going to look for some questions. Okay.
I think
Uh,
Hardeep. also be on.
Who's that?
Harbeen and Nora.
Oh, Harbeen is also on. Yeah, Harbeen has been very kind, and she's
Mm.
allowed us to stream this live on all her other platforms as well. So thank
Right.
you, Harbeen. Manoj Gursahani is here. He's saying Shakuntala was a breath of fresh air. Again, he's somebody
Thank
we
you.
know well. Rashmi, who's from the US. So we've got people from all around the world: London,
Right.
India, US, Canada. I'm just trying to find questions. To maybe I can't read questions. There's so many. Nandita Kapoor, thank you. Neelam Kumar, thank you. Mitashi, thank you. Rajni, Ravi Kamboj. Ravi Kamboj is my ex-husband. He's also watching.
Oh,
Father to my children.
hi, Ravi.
Richa Mukherjee. I'm just trying to say, everybody's finding the conversation refreshing. So if that comes from you, you've been so candid and so like authentic. That's the word.
Thank you, but I think it's you who eased me into the conversation, so it's equally both of us.
Super. I'm just trying to see questions. Questions. Everybody's just commenting. Do you think we as parents should inculcate values to both kids, whether girls and boys, to be able to do both the roles inside and outside the house? So when they grow up, there is balance for future. I think you answered that, but would you like
Yeah,
to?
absolutely. And I feel that we always speak about telling our girls how they're equal to boys, but I think it's equally important to tell the boys that they're equal to girls because you always want to be equal to someone who's above you, and
True.
therefore when you tell a girl, you're as good as a boy, that means it's still work in progress. Um, it could be an aspiration, it could be, that means that you're not yet there. So it's equally important to tell the boy that you're equal to the girl.
So true. So true. I love it. And I heard that earlier from one of your videos, and I thought, how amazing. Why do we not think like that? Why is it like automatically that we're not tuned into this kind of thinking?
I do one film a year, so in between films I get a lot of time to think.
Please do one film every 2 years now. Okay, so Siddharth Mukni, a friend of ours from the UK, he says if biopic is made on Vidya's life, which actress she would like to see play that role? Hmm.
Siddharth, you said, na?
Siddharth Mukni, yeah.
Siddharth, I'm very offended that you think I can't play myself. Today we have technology which can age and de-age you. So I want to play myself. I don't want anyone else to play me. I love me too much.
So good, amazing. Onir has bought rights to my story.
I
Onir,
know, that's
yeah,
amazing.
and I hope he approaches you, and I hope you'll say yes.
Yes to that.
So Gaurav Amlani says, doesn't that in a way make you disconnected with the world around you? Isn't it also important to keep track of the negatives in a balance? Though it's a great way to be honest. So I'm not sure which part he's referring to.
I think
Um,
it was about not reading the comments on social media.
yeah, sure.
No, I think, I feel I don't need validation from the outside world. And while as an actor, I want to share every work of mine with the world, I want people to watch it and love it. And then they can like or dislike it. That happens. Some films they like, some films they don't like. Therefore, some films are successes, some are not. That's absolutely fine. But when it comes to me as a person, and not as the actor, I'm very, I guard um, myself, my space, um, my sanity very ferociously. I don't think I like myself the way I am. Some days a little more, some days a little less. But, and that is work in progress, and that will, I think, go on throughout life. But the important thing is not to, I know when I'm not doing great, and I know when I am. So I think as long as I'm honest with myself, I'm fine not knowing
Sure.
what others have to say.
Because it is interesting, in life that people actually, when you are doing good, very few people will say good things to you. But when you don't feel good, there are a lot of people who will say negative.
I have to
And
say, Raga, I feel very blessed and fortunate that throughout my career, I've received so much love, appreciation, support from people who don't know me personally. So, from audiences. Even on my worst flops, people have said lovely things to me. At those times, I've been very low on confidence, and sometimes I remember stepping out used to be, like, oh my God, you feel unloved when a film doesn't do well. You feel like people don't love you anymore. So you're worried because you feel that, oh, they're going to look at you differently. But I've realized that they don't look at you differently. It's you who are looking at yourself differently because
Correct.
you suddenly feel not worthy of that love. But the world has always shown me love.
How amazing. How amazing. We've got lots of very interesting women here. And, Vidya, I tell Nicola this quite a bit myself that for in India, when a woman steps out of the house, when she starts to work, I think that itself is a day that we should celebrate, whoever
Yeah.
that person is, because that is when people come to me to, give me an award. I say, no, give an award to that person who was the first person in the family to step out. And we've got many such interesting women here today, and
Right.
women who do things regardless, right? There's a Mrunal Inamdar who she's a Nawari sari runner. So she's run from, I think, Mumbai to Pune in a Nawari sari.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and
That's amazing.
so, Milind Soman and Rima Sangvi founded something called Pinkathon. So it's a run
Yes.
for women, right? And all these women are running now from Mumbai to Pune and what not. And I'm thinking this is empowering because the biggest thing is guilt that they live with. What will my husband do when I'm running and practicing for that? All that is being eliminated now.
What will my husband do when he realizes he can't keep up with me when I'm running? Those questions, I'm sure.
I love that.
I think women can take on guilt for anything.
Sure, sure. So we've got Rashmi Das Bora here who says, if you have a want to change the world, what would you like to do?
I just like people to see that, that happiness is not outside of you, it's inside you. As in, you, it's not something that no amount of material things or success or fame or glory or money or I'm saying or attention can make you feel happy until you feel happy, because otherwise nothing it's never enough.
True, true. So when do you know that it's enough for you to be happy? So you're saying it's never enough, right? Every day we
It's
want so much more.
Yeah. When you start giving, when I became an actor, Raga, that was the only dream I'd ever had in my life. And that continues to be the only dream I've ever had. It's been 15 years now. But, I had done television, I had done ad films, I'd had a very unsuccessful stint in the South. Uh, and then Parinita happened to me. Before Parinita, a beautiful Bengali film called Bhalateko happened. Um, that just after Bhalu Theko itself, I felt, chalo, this is all I really wanted. I'm grateful for this. And then Purinita happened, and it changed my life. That was the time I stopped asking God for anything. I started giving gratitude. I started saying thanks for tonight. I'll give thanks for this lovely conversation I've had with you, for all these people who send their love, and I'm saying again that I think I get from my mother. You know, just giving gratitude for some stranger who smiled at you in the day, and you realize that life gives you more and more reasons to give gratitude. So first, it's important to acknowledge the good that's in our lives, even if that's one thing in the day.
You're beautiful, Vidya. Really, just the conversation, I could go on and on. And I know we've taken a lot of your
Thank you.
time. Yeah, this is
Thank
lovely.
you. Look, but I've enjoyed myself. This has been a lovely conversation, and I was keen to speak to you because I've obviously, read a bit of your book, but I know of your story, and I find that very inspiring. And I was keen to have this conversation, and I've had a great time. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We've got lots of other questions, but one last question may I ask before,
Sure.
yeah, is what helps you stay so grounded?
I think knowing that all of us are children of the same God, so You may have a little more of something, I may have a little more of something else. But finally, we're all the same.
True, so true. I'm going to ask a very interesting question that's come through by Chitra Makwana. Last one, I promise.
Yes, absolutely.
She says, very interesting. She says, do you have men around who are intimidated by who you are as a person, especially in the close circle?
No, thankfully not in my close circle, and even if they are, they don't let it show. but but I do know that it is tough for men to have women who are very articulate and unafraid. And there's a line in Shakuntala Devi where she says, "जो अपने दिल की सुनती है और दिल खोल के हंसती है, जो अपने मन की सुनती है और दिल खोल के हंसती है, उससे तो दुनिया, you know, डरेगी ही." Something like that. So I think it's bound to happen, but thankfully not in my close circle. Thankfully not.
But you're such a personable person. I don't think anybody would feel intimidated. If anybody, they would just want to see you do better and better. No, I'm going to say,
So thank
right?
you.
Vidya promise. I have to say that. I love that. I love that. But thank you. I loved having you. It has been one of the best sessions I've had, and each session that I have on my series has been wonderful, I must say. And I know you're exhausted. I know you've been on a
No,
work.
don't worry.
But thank
This conversation has rejuvenated me. I hand on heart.
Oh, so good to hear. So my crush will continue. I'm sorry. This is the first time I heard a fangirl moment. I'm sorry to all people in my life. I shall not retire because I'm going
That's the highlight of my conversation also, because like I told you, people no longer tell me they have a crush on me.
to. I will say it the way it is. We have
No,
to, right?
thank
But
you.
thank you, and it's been wonderful. I must thank the audience for joining us. Nicola, thank you very much for supporting us. Vidya, your team has been amazing. Anand Menon to Aditi to Sanchita, who made this happen for us. So thank you very much, all of you. You guys
Thank
are
you.
wonderful. And Vidya, really, I cannot thank you enough. You've been amazing. I've loved. I can just go on and on, but I've loved the laughter, your energy, the happiness that you exude, and just amazing. I can feel the
Thank you
magic.
so much. Thank you for your thank you, and thank you so much more.
Thank you. And people watching, you know where to find me at Totally Out Now or Speaking Minds Global. See you soon, and lots and lots of love to you.
To
Bye-bye.
you too. Stay safe. God
Thank
bless.
you. You too. Bye bye.
Bye.